Hello, 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 welcome back to Hunter Tuned. It is a bluebird day out here today. I've been in the shop for a while and I can't really see. I feel like I'm looking at a welding flash right now. Ooh, wow, it's bright outside. And then you come in here and it's just, you know, T-Bag doing pull-ups on a Miata.
What?
Who needs to go to the gym, right? We got rear sway bars for that.
Right.
So anyways, we are going to be working on my 1992 Mazda Miata today, and I kind of introduced this car a couple videos ago and didn't really get a whole lot of you know, interest, I guess, but I'm still building it for me just because I feel like it's kind of a little fun change of pace and just something, you know, to mess around with. As Matt Happel from Sloppy Mechanics would say, I'm doing a project to get away from all my projects. As you guys know, we do have some other stuff going on in here that we are going to be working on, but like I said, just kind of something to mess around with for a couple days and have some fun with. So we are going to be pretty much tearing this entire car apart and putting some new components in it, including a turbo kit. So this is a 1992 Mazda Miata with the 1.6 liter. It's not the good 1.8, but I've never had a Miata before, and this car is truly pretty fun to drive, and it's just fun to, you know, kind of just run around town with or hit up some back roads on the way to the shop kind of thing. So we did do some modifications to this car already that we're going to show you. Oh, you want to lower it down? While the car gets lowered down onto the ground, I'll actually show you the exhaust that was on the car that we just pulled off of it. So this is a full system Borla exhaust. And it fit pretty well. It was pretty quiet, honestly. It wasn't very, like honestly, you could barely even tell the car was running. It was kind of quiet, so it did have a catalytic converter and a muffler on it. So we're gonna be running full straight. We're gonna be running a full straight pipe exhaust now with the turbocharger, and we're gonna be ditching this old exhaust just because A, it's a little bit too small diameter for what I wanna do, and I just don't run mufflers or catalytic converters with the turbocharger. So we did install some bride seats into the car. I don't know if you guys can really see, it's a little dark. The car's a little dirty, but we did put those bride Lomaxes that were sitting in the corner of the shop. We kind of just made them fit into the Miata here. We took the stock rails off the factory seats and we took the brackets that came with the brides and just kind of made them work. So that's what we did there. The other bride sitting in there nice. The only thing that kind of is a little annoying is one of the seats actually sits a little bit lower than the other seat. So we may have to play with some adjustment on those little brackets there to get the seats to sit level. Yeah. Another modification that I did is I actually put a steering wheel in here. So this is just like the eBay, one of the eBay special steering wheels and hub assembly. You got that light, or is it under the car? Grab my light from Astro Tools here to show you a little bit better of what's going on. So this is the steering wheel that I got from eBay. It was like 35 bucks, and I thought it looked fairly nice. It matches the interior pretty good, and it has the little Mazda speed horn button there. So I thought that was pretty neat, and it does fit and look really good, like the little hub adapter and everything like that. This is actually a little bit smaller steering wheel than the factory one, because if you guys don't know, these cars are really small, and Trevor can actually drive it. And how tall are you?
6'6".
Trevor is 6'6", and he can fit in this car without hitting the soft top, and he can comfortably drive the car. I mean, it is a tight fit, but he can still drive it. But the only reason he can fit so well is because A, we put those bride seats in, and the steering wheel is a smaller diameter steering wheel, so it doesn't like rub up on your legs and stuff like that compared to the factory one. So all that stuff kind of helps with this car not feel so small and more like a go-kart. And that's kind of what we're going for here. Did you push the clutch pedal on?
No.
Okay.
Why?
Because I have the slave cylinder off.
Oh.
So don't hit the clutch. But anyways, the next thing that we are doing is we're actually pulling the shifter out of the car. So we are removing the transmission out of this car to install a different clutch, because I believe this car just has a factory clutch, and if you even just and a 1.600 horsepower engine. If you clutch kick it, you know, hard enough, it does kind of slide into gear, or like slide into engagement. So the clutch is definitely a little weak, and if we add any horsepower to this engine, that clutch slip is just going to get way worse. So I bought a bunch of, it's funny because I just talked about how we had a bunch of issues with eBay stuff on this orange Civic. I bought a bunch of eBay parts for this car, but I did a lot of research, and I'm just going to try these parts. If they don't work, I'm going to be taking responsibility, obviously, and showing you guys what fails, what holds up, what doesn't hold up, etc., etc. So we did get a lot of stuff out of the car already. We pulled the drive shaft. We actually pulled the Cavalier engine and transmission out too. So the Cavalier Turbo 350 tranny's sitting right here, and drive shaft for the Cavalier. But these are some of the parts that I got for the Miata. And the main thing that I'm excited about is this turbo manifold from CX Racing. So if you guys watched the last video on that Civic, I said that CX Racing manifold was pretty nice. And this is the CX Racing top mount tubular manifold for the Miata. So the CX Racing turbo manifold here is made out of 301 or whatever stainless. It's thick. It's a super heavy manifold, so it is built with thicker exhaust piping. So hopefully we don't have any issues with it cracking or anything like that. It isn't the best build quality, but it is the only cheaper option for a tubular turbo manifold for these cars. And knowing that this is a 1.6 liter, they do have, you know, they don't really hold up past like 300 wheel horsepower. I feel like that nobody's really gotten above that. Maybe somebody has out there, but I want to be able to make pretty reliable horsepower and keep back pressure at a minimum. And a lot of guys that are running these cars, they run a really restricted log manifold with a really small-ish turbo, which works good for like 200 horsepower, but I mean, 200 horsepower doesn't really get me out of bed in the morning. So I want to try to make this as efficient and as reliable as possible with spending money in certain places that hopefully benefit the car. So like I said, one of those things was this tubular manifold. It is a T3 inlet for the turbo instead of like, you know, the typical like TD04 flange. I did get T3 here just so I can have a little bit more options in case this turbo that it came with ends up failing, which I got a kit from CX Racing. Like I said, it was around $1,000. Came with this tubular, very nice manifold, came with the oil lines and a downpipe for the setup as well, and this turbocharger. So this turbocharger, I believe, is like a T28, and it is an internal wastegate with 2 ports on the wastegate, so that's very cool. We can add a 4-port boost control onto it and have better boost control. And it is a V-band outlet. The only thing that is a little bit annoying about this kit that I bought is it comes with the turbo here and the V-band for the outlet of the turbo. The downpipe they supply you with this bolt-on kit comes with you know, a pre-fit downpipe that matches the car that you're using, but the flange on the downpipe that goes to the turbocharger is actually big. Oops, sorry. It's actually bigger than the flange that needs to be on there for this turbocharger. So you actually have to cut this downpipe flange off in order to make it fit this turbo. So you'll have to weld this flange onto that pipe and not use the flange that it comes with. So that's kind of my only gripe so far with this kit that I purchased. But I feel like the turbo manifold is kind of worth what I paid, just because I did, like I said, I wanted a long tubular manifold for this engine just to get as much efficiency out of the turbo kit as I could. So you want to pop the hood, Trevor? So we are going to be starting by removing a lot of this stuff out of the engine bay, and we are going to remove the old exhaust manifold out of the car as well. and the old radiator and bumper and everything like that. So we're going to get started on this project. Like I said, we kind of did a lot of stuff under the car already. We did take the drive shaft out. Trevor's taking the shifter out. And I got a little, like, you know, the slave cylinder unbolted. Just some of the easy stuff I kind of got out of the way already. But hopefully we'll have the transmission out soon and just kind of get this car torn down to the point where we can start kind of maybe mocking some parts up. I did also get a radiator from eBay. It's just a dual core aluminum radiator. And then I have a whole intercooler piping kit in the box below the radiator. So we'll show you guys that in a minute. This is also a cheaper clutch that I did purchase. I think the 1.8 and 1.6 clutches are all the same. I'm not sure, but this one says 1.8, even though on the listing it said 1.6. So obviously throw-up bearing, clutch alignment tool, pilot bearing. This one came with a flywheel and the clutch kit itself. So this is the Stage 4. This is the biggest clutch I could find on eBay, or like the most horsepower rated one I could find. It's unsprung, and we're gonna just send it. Clutch pedal might be a little grabby, but what can you say? I ain't scared. Clutch Max is the brand. I think it was like 120 bucks for everything, or 140 bucks. Can't remember exactly. Then we also have a Walbro fuel pump that we'll be putting in the car. Yeah, just a lot of little odds and ends stuff, but we're gonna keep wrenching on this thing, get the tranny yanked out of it, and then maybe install the new clutch right away. And we'll let you know when we get the front bumper off as well. So we have a lot of stuff we had to take off, like this little splash guard in the bumper, another splash guard over here that we pulled out of it. Just a lot of little 10 mil bolts for the bumper, a couple little plastic Phillips screws, and yeah. So also we are going to be swapping these red wheels onto the Integra that I just got. Yep, I got another Honda, guys. You can be excited, I suppose. We're going to be doing something with that. I don't know exactly what we're going to do with it yet, but I do want to do a little build series on it as well. But I do have these red Rotas that we're going to be putting on the Integra because Trevor kind of had the idea. Those red wheels look a lot better on the Integra, I think, than they do on the Miata. So these are the wheels that were on the Integra, and we took the wheels from there and put them onto here. So I feel like the black wheels on the Miata look a little bit better, and the red wheels on the Tag look a lot better there. So how's this shifter ordeal coming? I have a new shifter coming for the car too. Oh, the turbo just fell on the ground. Right? Gotta take these 3 bolts out. 1, 2, 3.
Wow. Just sits right inside there.
So these bushings wear out a lot on these cars, and this shifter was extremely sloppy. So I actually got a new shifter with new bushings on the way. Might even be here today. The old shifter is out.
This coolant line wasn't in the way.
Right?
Gotta replace the radiator anyways. Might as well fucking drain it. Whatever. It can't go down.
Things in there pretty good, huh? Maybe gotta separate it in the center here. Look at that, it's ripped.
Solid.
Junk.
What's the fucking problem? There's a fucking goddamn bolt underneath the goddamn thing.
How do you feel about that intake?
Fucking garbage. Don't sell.
Rest in peace.
Fucking garbage. Look at all this room now. There's just my shit all over the place.
Yeah, now we got some more room. Should probably yank this mass airflow out of here. Oh, it's airflow meter, my bad. It's got 2 little clips on it that hold it. Or what? What?
So if you can even get a Phillips in there, but...
Pull. giant exhaust manifold.
Oh wow.
Compared to a fucking Honda, those things are huge.
Yeah, those are pretty big. I'd grab your ratcheting impact and zipper them off.
Oh, it really had to go, huh? Need some more water in your diet there, fucking Miata. Yeah, it's even foamy, man. You need to drink more water. Where's that 3/8 impact? Got a 10 mil for it? Right up there. There's a Phillips screw right here for the bumper.
Here's this.
I was gonna film when the car was on the ground.
Why would you do that?
You know, to show what we've done.
Okay guys, so as you can see here, there's nothing here. Alright, what next? We gotta pull the trans finally after we spent almost 2 hours mocking up everything. Right?
Where's the other bell hose?
I don't know, I gave them to you. So Hunter's pulling the bell housing bolts off the trans. That's the motor. We're gonna take off the power steering pump because that's in the way.
Oh, really? There's a nut?
With all these lines, get that out of there, and then where's the nut? You got it. You got it.
Can't see anything on the camera.
I mean, pert near. The gabagoo.
Starter bolts up here. Come on. There are 14s up there. Alright. We got one way up top. One up here.
Oh, good luck on that one.
Alrighty guys, so we did do a lot of stuff on the Miata. As you can see here, we have the transmission actually back out of the car, or I should say we have the transmission out of the car, and we are replacing the clutch, like I mentioned. So we did get the old clutch and flywheel out of the car, and you can see here that this clutch was glazed over quite a bit, and the inside disc, or inside portion of the disc is actually like loose inside here. And the springs are also not stationary anymore. So you can see this one's got wear on the spring. And a lot of times you don't really want to be able to move the springs like this inside the clutch disc. So, I mean, this clutch was fine. I mean, it still like ran and drove the car just fine. But if you really wanted to wail on it and have it grab, it wasn't really up to the task of Hunter tuned driving or Trevor driving. So, we did do a ton more stuff in the engine bay as well. You saw in the little time lapse I did there where we were just kind of picking away at this thing, just honestly ripping it all apart. We took pretty much everything out of the engine bay, as you can see here. So
that's nowhere near as bad. I just watched a dude, he pushed his clutch in and he shot out and almost hit this thing.
Yeah, little sidetrack here, but I noticed when I was messing with the crank pulley that it actually has like in and out play. I think it's actually normal, just like, you know, the thrust bearing clearance or whatever.
Watch this.
But, yeah, it just was something that I was like, what the hell? I've never really felt the crank pulley move back and forth like that. And it's definitely the whole crank moving back and forth. So I don't know if that's, you know, normal or whatever. But we did actually bypass the power steering and we deleted the air conditioning. So we ripped literally all of it out. And now it's looking like it's going to be a hell of a lot more fun to work on and a little bit easier to modify. So we didn't really have a whole ton of room here in the exhaust track to put the new turbo manifold and stuff on. So we actually took off this water pipe. The heater hose that goes onto the lower radiator hose here, it just kind of pushes into here and then rides up and then bolts onto the exhaust right there and then goes to the heater core right there. So we took that hose and we actually heated it up and bent it out of the way a little bit so we could route the or put the turbo manifold on without it, you know, getting too close to that.
Can we just put a B series in here?
Right.
Made it up to fucking the Miata Trans. That's more my cup of tea right there. Mm-hmm. Because it's really no different.
Except the engine mounts on a B series are on the front.
So we'll just have to...
We'd have to make mounts off of like the power steering bracket or the AC bracket on a B series block.
There's a couple holes on a B series right here.
Yeah, I know, for like power steering and AC.
Oh, yeah. Well, be Gucci.
Mm-hmm.
We'll just have to get in a little CNC machine, get a little adapter plate.
Right.
To be Gucci.
Yeah, so this thing, we also, like I said, have the transmission out of it, and I'm quite excited to get this thing back together, guys. It should be a hell of a lot of fun when we're done. We got the front bumper off, which was kind of a task, just because it was held on by like 100 different screws and bolts. But the front bumper is off of the car, and like I said, we deleted the AC because we want to be able to fit an intercooler without really having any fitment issues. So the turbo manifold fits pretty good. The intercooler that I was going to run is kind of like a smaller intercooler. I don't even know where the hell I put it. Oh, it's right here. We got a mess going on. So this is the intercooler I was gonna run. Very, you know, not a very big core, not very large in size. And it came with an random intercooler piping kit that I bought. But I do have a couple of these intercoolers still laying around, so I may use one of these EMUSA 31-inch by 12 intercoolers, because it does fit in the Miata just behind the crash bar here. So we're just going to set it in here, you know, just behind it, and we'll be able to bolt it up and have it fit great without any fitment issues with the bumper. But there's going to be a little sneak peek of the turbo sitting in there. We could not run intercooler piping literally at all with this turbo kit with the turbo how they had it, because we actually had to take the turbo and clock it clockwise here and route the outlet of the turbo down towards the power steering pump, which the power steering pump literally took up all this space in here. So there was no way we'd be able to run intercooler piping. And the way that the turbo came out of the package, the turbo outlet was coming out right here. So then we just run right into the frame. There was no way for us to run piping that way. This was the only option that we really had. So that's what we're gonna do. And also the wastegate outlet lines are kind of close to the cylinder head here, but I think we'll be able to manage. There's enough room in here that we can still run a vacuum line and don't have any issues, I don't think. Yeah, other than that, she's coming together pretty good. So yeah, like I said, now we only have the alternator and water pump running on here just with the V-belt. So that'll be definitely simplify things quite a bit. We just took the power steering rack and we looped it you know, to have nothing get inside the rack. It's not gonna have power steering, but this car is like 2,000 pounds. It doesn't really need it, especially with the race car steering wheel that I got. I think it'll be a lot of fun without it. And took all the lines from the AC, yanked all that out. Yeah, I don't know what else. Just honestly took a ton of stuff apart. That's all we did today, really. So the rest of it is just gonna be kind of assembly from here on out. And yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed the little Miata build here. We're gonna be putting on a lot of eBay parts, but I'm hoping a lot of it's gonna work, and this thing's gonna be a ton of fun when we're done. Trevor's trying to get a picture of the turbo sitting in the engine bay. So underneath the car here, you can see that we have the flywheel and clutch and everything off. We just kind of cleaned all this stuff off. There was some oil leaking from, it looks like, where the distributor is, or you know, the ignition thing. It was looking like it was leaking a little bit out of there, but we cleaned all of that off, and now it's just kind of ready for reassembly, which will be we'll be coming back out here tomorrow and kind of buttoning some of this stuff up. So, and obviously when we took the transmission out, we had to, you know, take this you know, piece off that connects the rear end to the transmission. Wasn't really too big of a deal. We just, when we took the transmission out, I just had Trevor kind of push you know, that way with this piece just to get it out of the way so we could slide the transmission out of the way. And then, you know, some of the, I mean, really a lot of this stuff came right out. It wasn't too big of a job to do, and it was fun. I enjoyed working on it. So I'm very excited to get this thing done, and very excited to bring you guys along tomorrow for some more exciting stuff, you know, assembling the turbo and putting everything back together. So I'm gonna try to film more tomorrow. I just kind of wanted to give you a, you know, introduction to the build today and show you some of the disassembly. Disassembly's not really too exciting, just loosening bolts and pulling stuff off. Putting it back together is where people usually get stuck. So I'd like to show more of that tomorrow. Like I said, hopefully you guys enjoy. If you did, leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you're new. Have a great night and a better tomorrow.